Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres, and as you can see, I'm in the greenhouse. Now, if you've been following this for a while, the greenhouse looks really pretty different now than it did just, say, a month ago. The tomatoes finally succumbed to the cold, which we knew they would. We weren't willing to put in the amount of propane and hassle factor that it would take to keep those tomatoes all around. But we do have a nursery over here, which I'll take you to before we end this video, so that you can see what is going on over here. Had a couple of questions about the nursery, like why do we have it in water and things like that. I'll explain all of that. Meanwhile, I need to do some rearranging. We have all these Dutch buckets that really need to be moved out. We're in the process of getting that set so that Henry can get it all stabilized for the winter. There's been delay after delay. If you've been following us for a while, Jack was sick for several days. First night we were up every hour and a half. Second night we were up every 2 hours. Third night we were up every 3 hours. It's kind of like having a small child that's sick. So we're running about a week behind at this point, at least. And I want to get these out of the way. You'll notice I have already moved some lettuce over here. It gives them a little bit better sun. It gets them up off the floor, which is actually, even though it's only, 6 or 8 inches, it's still a tiny bit warmer the higher you get in here. But the big thing is it gets them more sun. The 21st will actually be the equinox, when the daylight is the same as the night. And then we'll start gradually getting longer days. So when people fuss at me about, oh, I hate daylight savings time, it makes the days so short, it does not change the length of the day. If you think that any government on the planet could sit there and dictate the length of the day, you're wrong. All it does is shift the day an hour one way or the other. Arizona does not have daylight savings time. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't change the length of the day. All it changes is your perception. So we get up when we see the sun in the morning, or before if we need to get more things done. We stop working outside generally when the sun goes down, which means we work really long days in the summertime and we work shorter days in the wintertime, because once the sun goes down, it gets wicked cold. So, okay, on to work. What you're going to see me do is I am going to take these individual buckets. I'm going to pour out as much of the water as I can from the bottom of the bucket, because there is a reservoir of water in here. I'll slosh it back and forth a couple of times to get a lot of the water out. Makes it a lot lighter. And then I'm going to be simply moving them down here. That will give me more space here that I can use for other things. I need to be shifting these things around. I need better access to some of the cabbages that are going to be coming off relatively soon, like within the next couple of weeks. A bunch of these cabbages in here are starting to head up. I'd like to be able to see exactly what's going on so that I don't accidentally let them get too far past. When a cabbage gets too old, the cabbages I grow don't get yucky necessarily, but you'll start to see the head split. Then when you process them yourself, first of all, if they were split, you couldn't sell them, except maybe to a sauerkraut maker, and they might not even want them. But for us, you wind up cutting out sections that aren't as nice. So we're trying to eliminate loss by making sure we stay on top of things. So I'm going to be moving a lot of pots around, but I need more room over here first. So let's get started. See, there's a little water coming out right now. If I slosh it back and forth. Now these have not been watered in probably a week. And some of them seem to have a lot more water in it than others. I won't begin to guess why. I'm not going to worry about it. Some of the ones that I emptied the other days had a lot more water in it than these do. Funny how much of a difference there is. The funny thing is they all have the same size reservoir and stuff. It's just like, I don't know if I'm sloshing differently or whatever. There's some difference. Sometimes I can take off this, sometimes it does not come off easily. It makes it easier if it comes off, but it doesn't always easily, and I don't want to mess up anything. Now these, if you remember, were the tubes that were used to put water and nutrient into the various buckets. I'm just letting them fall over the back. Haha. That one came off easily. Good enough. Not trying to make this perfect. Just trying to lighten it up a little bit. And I'll reuse that water in the plants over here. Need a little bit more room. I know I don't have enough room down here for all of the buckets, but this will still give me enough room to be able to accomplish something in terms of moving the other containers around. Uh-oh, a jack, my kingdom for a jack. Hi, Mr. Jack. You missed me, huh? Did you bug Dad to come out here? You were asleep when I left. You were sleeping in the sunspot. Jack is feeling a lot better, but we're still encouraging him to take as many naps as he wants to. So when I was getting ready to come out and he was sound asleep, I was like, I'll just leave him. I knew that when he eventually woke up, he'd go, "Where's Mom?" He'd go bug Henry to come get me. I also have some things that I moved the other day. And I'm just going to pour all this together, and these will be used to water. I'm checking the bottom because the other day when I moved one of these, there were like 8 giant worms underneath it. So I moved the worms into some of the pots. I thought it was really cool because worms are kind of like they're almost as much of a treasure as water is around here. Ah, a runaway clip. A runaway clip, Mr. Jack. I'm going to put that over here with the other clips. This does not get all the water out, but it gets enough out to lighten it a bunch so that I can move them more easily. And why do I put the tube going up? Because if there's more water in that and somebody's moving it, we don't want it to pour on their shoes. I don't know how you feel about wet shoes, but I don't like it. Now I have some space, but I can just scooch them over at least, and that gives me more space. Now I can get back here, I can sweep. I was talking to Henry, I think next year we'll probably move this 6 inches back from where it is. Originally we thought, well, it would be handy to be able to get around the backside, but the reality is we don't go around the backside. I have a weed back here. There we go. Do not want weeds. This is a white horehound. Very invasive, a perennial, makes nasty little burrs that get stuck in Jack's fur. Yeah, generally all around annoying. We're very messy right now because we just dragged in everything the other day. And I am not seeing the broom, which means it's either buried under here. Ah, there it is. Yay! One of our goals this coming year is a much tidier storage area. Beep, beep, beep. I've been keeping track of leaves and all that kind of debris pretty well lately. But I like it nice and clean. It lets you see if something's going on really quickly. If you remove the debris, it doesn't give as much room for things to hide, like bugs and stuff like that. This is not going to be perfect because I'm not going to dismantle this. I'm just going to, like, if we don't dismantle this next spring, we'll do a much more careful sweep and clean. I would actually really like to deep clean with Clorox. And I know that for some homesteaders, Clorox is a nasty word. It is not a nasty word for me. I used to work in food production, and I used to have a federal food license. So I understand where it is important and where it is to be avoided. And in this case, the only thing I would want to use it for is to clean surfaces and eliminate as much in the way of fungus, things like blights and stuff like that. The less of that I have around, the happier I am.